Well, time to look ahead now to the first semi-final in the Women's World Cup. It is Warren Ashurst and Tom McGarry alongside me to look ahead to England against the United States, and it promises, Tom, to be an absolute cracker. You would argue probably the two strongest teams in the tournament going head-to-head in the last four. They drew the last time they met in the She Believes Cup earlier this year as well, 2-2. Is it going to be as tight this time, do we think?
I think it will be. As you say, England are probably the form side of the knockout stages with back-to-back 3-0 wins to make it through to the semi-finals. And the US are undoubtedly the team to beat, the world number one defending champions. I think it could be a really entertaining game. Both sides know where the back of the net is. The firepower in the US lineup in particular is impressive. They scored 22 goals in their 5 games at the tournament to date, albeit 13 of those were against Thailand, but still, likes of Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe in particular actually has scored all 4 of the knockout goals the USA have got this year's tournament. She could be a value bet at 11-5 to be an anytime scorer, but I think the US probably, with that extra experience and winning mentality of getting over the line in semi-finals, I probably would just favour them to squeak through. You can get them at 1-2 to qualify, so that could be in the 90 minutes, extra time or even penalties, but I just have an inkling that they're probably the favourites going into this.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I've looked at them winning after extra time, and you can get around about 8-1 on that. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see this go all the way, maybe even to penalties as well, because I do think they're two very evenly matched sides. England, let's not forget, of course, have kept 4 clean sheets in a row in this competition, so defensively they look pretty sound. Although it has to be said, in the last game, they did make a few errors towards the end of the game at the back, and they will have to be very careful against this highly talented USA side who, as Tom already mentioned, Megan Rapinoe is arguably the standout name for one reason or another, with the goals and also what she's had to say on Twitter, I think, during this tournament as well. To score first in the game, she's around about 6-1. I'd also suggest looking out for Tobin Heath, who scored the equaliser when these two drew in the She Believes Cup. And she's looked a threat as well, breaking from an advancing midfield role, and she could have a big impact in the game as well. You mentioned there about the attacking threat of both these sides. If England are to look for a goal scorer, look to get goals, where would you think, Tom?
Well, Ellen White's the obvious candidate there, the main striker. She's the joint leading scorer in the tournament with 5 goals, alongside Alex Morgan and, who we just mentioned there, Megan Rapinoe. She sees the obvious target, but if you look at players like Toni Duggan, Nikita Parris, who's missed a couple of penalties in this tournament, she might have a point to prove. Those two players tend to play in the wide areas but like to cut in field and certainly have an eye for goal. I think over 2.5 goals in this match is possibly a way to go. It's 19-20 you can get it at in the markets. US have conceded in both their knockout stages games, and you mentioned England defensively. Yes, they've kept clean sheets, but I think they look vulnerable there. They tend to concede quite a few chances, and against a team of the US's attacking quality, I certainly envisage goals. 2-2, as you mentioned earlier, when they met in the She Believes Cup, so I wouldn't be surprised if we had something similar.
Well, we shall see. I'm sure that both sides will go for it. They'll be attacking in numbers, and they'll be hoping to reach the World Cup final. It will be England's first World Cup final, of course. USA are multiple winners of the World Cup. Who will come out on top on Tuesday should be an enthralling encounter. Many believe whoever wins this will go on and lift the trophy. We shall see. Let us know your thoughts, of course, on our social media channels on both Twitter and on Facebook. And, of course, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.